Om Shanti. Today I'd like to do the power to withdraw or withdrawal power. As we say, everyone has these powers inside of them. They're just not always used at the right time, in the right way, very often with the right motive. So when they're used correctly, then it saves you from a lot of headaches, turmoil, stress and worries. When you have more knowledge, a greater level of knowledge, which is why we emphasise being a student of Raj Yoga just rather than just a participant, because it's the life that's outside that teaches the life that's inside. So even when you think of everyone becoming a teacher for you, even if they're controlling and overwhelmingly spiteful in many ways, it's really opportunities to see them as teachers, to teach me a lesson of humility. They've got their own lessons to learn. If they're not learning them, then they'll have to face them again and again. Whereas a life of learning means that every single moment of the life, even if I'm sitting on my own, alone, and what I do with my time, how I expend my energy, is all part of a learning curve, which will improve me as long as I've got that attitude of learning, because life is for learning and learning is for life. So right until the moment then we finish these physical roles that we play, where actually the attitude of learning is a very healthy place to be. Perhaps this is also connected with the power to withdraw, because you're withdrawing from the normal, what people call the normal way of living, which is mostly, in my book, a waste of energy and a waste of time, because it's always reliant on something to happen before I can have happiness, something to happen for me to feel liberated, for me to feel important. I have to be seen by certain people, and so the self-importance in a pure way, in a divine way, the self-worth in a divine way, in a pure way, has been lost along the way, because people believe that the life outside is for living and therefore for doing. And we always say that we're learning to be. And so the first aspect of meditation when we sit is we learn to sit. And that's not a physical sitting, although you are obviously sitting in a physical way, but it's learning to sit just quietly with your own true nature of peace as a being, as a soul. That's an immortal, eternal energy within the physical body. Nothing's happening outside, but it's happening inside, within. If you chase what's within without, that means outside, then you'll always be less aware of what's already within. So we're withdrawing from chasing after anything, making a hasty effort to actually achieve something means I won't be aware of what's already within, and it will remain without, which is external. So when we sit as a soul, you've got the 5 sense organs which we use throughout the day to see, to speak, to hear. The nose is symbolic of curiosity and what we get our nose into, basically, or not, as the case may be, because we're withdrawing from putting our nose in the form of interest into anything of the outside world. And also the 5th sense organ is to touch, which we turn televisions on, we turn computers on, we prepare food for that. It's very much the touch is connected to doing, and we're now practicing being, withdrawing from these sense organs of the body. So you've got the 5 sense organs that are in the body, and you've got the sense organs that are within the soul, which is the mind and the intellect. So I'm actually learning and educating myself on the information I've already received, I've already got, that I've been given, and it wasn't given by me, it was given by someone else. So therefore I can't have any ego of what I know, because I didn't know what I know. I had to learn it from someone, and just because I've learnt it doesn't mean to say I've learnt it, because it's a lifelong experience of going within time and time again into the soul at the centre of the forehead, the point of eternal light, the eternal energy, and I am doing the research with my mind and intellect. So I'm using my mind and intellect to be curious, because that's the sense organ that works also for curiosity. So I'm not using this outside, I'm using it within to actually try to process the knowledge that I've been given, which is being the peaceful soul. So not trying to be peaceful, but making the effort to create a realization that I, the soul, the being, is eternally peace. So it's a natural state. Peace is different to happiness, because peace is the eternal state that the soul's in. As soon as I detach from the body, I experience peace here that transcends through the physical costume, the body. Happiness is something that we earn, really, in the sense of when I bring my peace, when I bring my patience, when I bring my love into action, then because of those actions are pure actions, there's happiness. Happiness is the fruit of the actions that I've accumulated. So if a person's unhappy, it's because they're not accumulating good actions. So the good actions are under the influence of their qualities, of their virtues. So we'll set aside happiness for the moment. That doesn't mean to say we can't smile, but happiness is a different subject to peace. Peace is my eternal nature. Happiness is something that I earn. So our learning is to create a churning on how that peace feels, how the feelings feel of being a bodiless being, an eternal, immortal being within the body. I remember doing a meditation commentary once at a mind, body and spirit venue, and halfway through the meditation commentary a man stood up and just said, I just had a very deep experience of being eternal. So the foreverness of eternal, the feelings that nothing can harm, nothing can penetrate, nothing can make you feel a fear of anything, because within the feeling of eternity which he experienced at that moment, he was also immortal. The feeling of immortality is another feeling that the mind and intellect tries to feel. Silence is developed because all that thinking of the outside world and the problems involved with the outside world are actually silenced at that moment, so they're put on hold so that your own inner powers can deal with them at the right time. So the power to withdraw means even if the mind goes to something or another, you're lovingly bringing the mind back into a place where you wish it to be. And I use the word lovingly because you're not actually using any kind of force over the mind to make your point. You're just bringing it back to the state of being, you're the watcher of the drama, the witness of the drama. Everything's happening, but it's not happening to you. It's happening outside of you. The body is also connected to the world outside, and the world inside cannot be penetrated by the world outside if I withdraw my powers from it. So the light of the soul is being cast upon itself. And this is a very beautiful experience because all of a sudden you're timeless, time stands still, you're in the moment, you're aware of the feeling of being light. So your attitude, your vibrations, your feelings, everything is being massaged with light. And as you become more and more aware of that light, you start to feel the light spreading throughout the body, healing all the organs, giving peace throughout the mortal coil and in all four directions, because the light doesn't fade, it just goes on and on because it's connected to being eternal light. So with this also there's the feeling that you've got a very clean space and a very clean place inside now, and you can actually invoke God, the Father of the soul, into that space and start to enjoy the presence. So his presence is bringing out your presence. That's why he's called the Creator. He's not the creator in the sense of creating a material world or creating something from nothing, but he's the creator of your true presence. In other words, he restores it. So he doesn't even create the true presence as such, but he brings your attention, restores it, recovers it, enables it to recuperate from the scars of time. And all that's left is light, the self as light, the Supreme Being in the company, being held at the centre of your forehead, and your mind is absorbing that light into your presence and lighting you up, making you feel enlightened. So nothing really to do with knowledge, feeling enlightened, because it's something that knowledge becomes, light to enlightened. So at this moment in time, all the my's, my husband, my wife, my children, possessions, money, etc., all the my, which are minus, M-Y-N-E-S-S and M-I-N-U-S, are being put on hold. So they don't exist at this period of time. You get a mine which is a gold mine, or you can get a mine which is a minefield. One is a landmine that is destructive, and the other mine is the gold mine. We're searching the gold mine, we're searching inside for the qualities. Your main quality that you have is love. So being loving means you're bringing the light, becoming aware of the light of love that's within through being light. The moment you feel that you're light, separate from the feelings of the body, the light of love, the light of peace begins to manifest to your conscious mind, because it's been lying dormant because we weren't aware of its presence, and we didn't have the Supreme Being helping us because we weren't looking in the right place. We were looking outside, where we had to look inside towards the self, and then invoke the source of peace to come and sit next to me, sitting here as a soul, set back from the eyes, the windows of the soul. I'm not using the eyes at the moment, I'm using the third eye of awareness to invoke and invite the ocean of peace, the ocean of love, the ocean of purity, truth, and the almighty authority into my presence. His presence starts to become overwhelming, so that's where you get these people saying they couldn't tolerate the light, but in actual fact it's a blissful state. So it's not an intolerance, it's such a blissful state that it penetrates so deeply that it touches your inner core, and it starts to go in to out, in to out, in to out, in to out. So it becomes like the soul breathing in the power of light. I'm still the observer, watching the world from here, not from there, and I'm lovingly caught up with my own presence, which I'd searched for in others' recommendations, others' praises, others' fame of me, others' love for me. So that's all being put on hold, because your actual presence that's divine is inside, and the searchlight is now lighting up my divine presence that's been lying inert within me, unused. They say use it or lose it, but you can't lose it. And then, because of this experience in meditation, when you interact with people in the outside world, your ego won't clash with their ego, because you'll naturally be aware of the arrogance, the stubbornness, the self-righteousness, and all the egos that go on. You'll recognise that. You're not being pulled into a place that you don't want to be, because once it starts, it doesn't stop. Arguments go on for decades. Sometimes they're passed down from family to family, through generation to generation. Imagine that has all started because someone actually interacted in an incorrect way. So the seed of ego is being destroyed because your ego isn't meeting another person's ego. So through the power of yoga, which is what this is, soul meeting the Supreme Soul, you're actually able to have an effect on others rather than be affected by their ego. Perhaps the effect you're having is silence, maybe just by you not saying anything to a person that has any one of those negative attributes of stubbornness, self-righteousness, that kind of aggression, which is the very male-dominated way of doing things, and the females have caught the disease as well, where having to prove something, show something, and where does it all end? But just because you're not interacting in that way, they'll come to you at the right time when their ego has tripped them up, because pride always comes before a fall. And once a person's tripped up by their own ego, eventually there's humility within them that they'll find, and that's where we are at the moment, where we've become tired of interacting in an egotistical kind of way. So you'll even pick this up through signals, because your intuitive qualities, you become more objective, and you become clearer that there's ego present. It's not a criticism, it's not a judgment, it's just something that is protecting you, that feedback from your own mind, from your own intellect, which are senses. So they're sensing something of the outside. You'll pick it up in advance. You might even pick it up before anyone comes round. You may even pick it up in the morning time when you wake up that something is going to happen today, and it's from this experience of going inside, withdrawing from the sense organs, and feeling secure about your immortality, about your eternity. So you've been in existence forever, and foreverness cannot be affected by anything that the world is going through of a temporary nature. But the thing is, because you are eternal souls, is that you may think that something's going to go on forever, not because it will, but because you're forever. So also withdraw from the wrong kind of understanding. When you start to understand everything as a soul, I can understand that if someone is going through a great deal of suffering, that I'm only looking after people for this period of time. They're not mine. They don't belong to me. No one has the ownership of anyone. Actually, the only reason why there's ownership is because the soul hasn't got mastery over matter. When you start to master the matter, you don't feel like owning anything. You don't feel like owning the body. You become a trustee. So you don't use your wealth to try to buy a new identity or to add to an identity that's going nowhere. You're not trying to create an external image of yourself, because the image that you've got, the picture, excuse me, the picture that you've taken of yourself in meditation is a divine, perfect picture. It's a perfect image. You can't perfect it anymore by spending money, more money on your body, more money on the youth of the body, more money on others, trying to people please. You naturally stop doing that. You start to change customs and systems and don't buy into people pleasing and making others happy just to feel respected by them. Their respect will come from self-respect. Self-respect is taking a picture of your perfect image that is non-physical, spiritual. All the qualities that the soul has are the original connection. All the defects have been picked up along the way, and you don't even feel that it's your anger. You feel like there's anger there, but it's not my anger. It's not your anger, it's something that was acquired. This is very interesting actually, because nowadays you have a man who will say that this is the wife and these are the kids. They show a picture of the wife and the kids, but when it comes to his business, he'll say, my business, my money, my wealth, my bank account. But when it comes to the wife, there probably was a time when he said my wife with a great deal of love, but then all of a sudden somewhere along the line it changed to the wife. And even in England, some people say her indoors. So it's all changing really according to the state of consciousness that the person's had. He never gets tired of money, but he might get tired and will get tired mostly with his wife and kids, and she with him. Maybe the females also say the husband or the other half. So remember, when you're actually connected to another bodily being with a form of attachment through the concept of my, and remember, they don't belong to us. But when we do have that concept, we even say it, they're the other half. So we're only half now, which is wonderful. We were one, and then we meet up with someone and we only become half because they're the other half. So you'd think it was at least two, but no, it's half. So there's the aspect of my, which is the minus, which can only be found through the eye of the body. And some people have a great deal of arrogance of their body, which we need to completely withdraw from. If we haven't withdrawn from that already, there's the mal ego, the male arrogance, where the way he walks, the way he sits, the way he swaggers, the way he looks like he's not interested in meditation and just sitting there looking the other way. I remember, someone actually came for meditation, a husband and wife, and the first thing he wanted to say was that he'd brought the wife because she needed it. He didn't claim to need it himself, and he sat there with his legs crossed, and his body language was against, not for, and she was very much for, because she was very much a listener, wanted to understand what she needed to do to stop a too active imagination and to give her some peace of mind back again. And from time to time he would say to her, "Are you listening to this? Are you listening to this?" But actually he needed it more than she needed it. So it was the arrogance of the male role, and there's also the female role, the way the female will use her sexuality and flick her hair to make herself seem mysterious and captivating, and use that as a tool to maybe get her own way. All males and females have their way. The woman flicks her hair and keeps flicking as if, "Look at me, aren't I wonderful?" And the male does it in his way, plays the peacock, and he'll walk straight down the road, and if someone's walking in the same line, then there's a potential that he'll walk right through them. He'll get in his car and drive the car like a weapon. So it's expanding all the time, this negative energy of arrogance into this world, wave after wave, from the male and the female, deeply attached to their bodily relations that they don't own, but they took ownership of because they were no longer the master of matter. They're the servant to matter. So you just remember that whatever you own, it owns you. So we don't really own it. It's an illusion. The consumer thinks he's consuming something, and in reality he's being consumed by it. So I think that's enough for the power to withdraw, to take yourself into that space now for a few minutes with a guided meditation, and then I bid you good day. So sit back, relax, be carefree. No worry is bigger than yourself. Your worries come and go. Your doubts and fears come and go. But they'll always be you. You outlive them all. So sit peacefully, carefree, worryless and peaceful, and withdraw like the turtle withdraws from the world outside. I withdraw from the sense organs of my body and become aware of a point of light at the centre of the forehead. Hold your concentration on the point of light. Go into the point of light and see it like the sun. You are radiating light. In all four directions. Go into that light, the light of peace, the light of love. Let the coolness flow through you, throughout the entire body. Filling the organs of the body with light as it passes through the body from the tips at the centre of the forehead to the tips of the feet and the toes. Go into that light, and that light that is spreading throughout the physical body is your omnidirectional presence, a presence that is a present that enables you to enjoy the present moment. Hold on to the feelings of being the eternal, the immortal light. There is no weakness in its constancy. It keeps flowing and growing and bestowing. You don't even have to think good towards anyone, because you are good to everyone. Om Shanti. Have a nice day.